daisy chains and sweet champagne, and 2 days alone with you. Not too far from the city by car, or maybe we can make a more romantic trip by train to the country. It's where I want to be with you for the week.
Welcome to new channel here, Heritage Homestead Creations. So glad you could join me today. Today's video will be the first in a series of videos for the building of one of my favorite woodworking projects, the apple press. I've done quite a few of these over the years, and it's now getting time to start doing some more. Today's video will be the first in the series. I'm not sure how many it'll be, but we'll see how it goes. Before, when I was building these apple presses up in Montana, that it would take me nearly 2 weeks to actually build the press from start to finish, and that was working on it every day for pretty much 2 weeks. I'd say 5 days a week, but two solid weeks to get it built. I found it was easier to build more than one at a time, because when you get set up to do some tooling and you want to make some parts, it's best to do as many as you can. And this go round, because of the nature of where I'm at with the amount of materials I have, I'm gonna be doing three units. And this is no longer the Homestead Creations channel; it's the Rooster and Gobbler channel. Are you gonna be quiet, or are you gonna talk and get your say in? Well, he definitely is. So in this first video, I want to go over all the materials that we will need for this project, and in case some of you may want to take this project up for yourself to make your own apple press. It's a pretty sizable project, but very doable for anybody who has most of your standard woodworking tools, planer and drill presses and that kind of thing, to make what you need to out of wood. There are some things that you need to buy and some stuff that we need to go over. So let's get at it and see what we've got to have for pieces, parts, and screws and bobs and things. Alright, so I've got a lot of stuff spread out here, and we're going to go through and talk about a lot of the stuff that we kind of need to get together before we really get started. And I've kind of spread out everything. Not everything is necessarily going to be, don't need these in here. Set these aside. But we're going to go over these materials and talk about some stuff. There's still a couple of items that I don't have here for what we need, but let's talk about the basic construction. Most everything's going to be made out of oak, and I'm going to do pretty much everything out of this red oak here. Now, I do have some parts here that I was working on a couple years ago before I moved here, and I've been carrying with me, and I'll use those for examples of what I was going to do, but we're not going to use these for a reason, but you can see them because they're almost in shape for what we need. So let's start with the biggest, most probably one of the more challenging pieces is the juice pan. And the juice pan, I had started to put this one together, and I was hoping to get it in one piece, but couldn't do that. I ended up doing a glue up here, and it didn't do as nicely as I'd like, because I think, you know, travel and time had allowed it to deal with some moisture issues, and there's a little bit of a curve in it. I may still use that one. When I had some lumber and some trees milled up, these are the bottom half of some very wide boards that I've got, the majority of which is in this stack back here, and we will be tapping into that stack for material for the upper deck and the scratter box. Sounds like it is now going to be hen channel, egg laying channel. So the juice pans are going to be the juice pan bottom board is going to be one of the most challenging ones, because if you can, it'd be nice to acquire a full size sheet. And Miss Photobomb is always in our videos. But as you can see in this board, you see there's in the drying process, and let's see, this one's more pronounced. Wood dries across the grain, so wood wants to compress this way. Okay, so if your grain's going this way, it wants to do that. So when you get to the middle, this outer edge wants to pull together, causing the board to bow that way. There's a way to fix this and still keep one piece. I'm not sure if we're going to do that with this or not, or whether we'll just rip them down and glue them up. Let me see if I can't quiet down that hen. Alright, she had to let everybody know that the egg she laid was the most important thing in the world. So, it is. It's a big thing. Can you lay an egg? I can't. Anyway, so we got some juice pan boards that I'm going to be working on, and you don't have to do a full size sheet, but when you're talking about the beauty of creating the craftsmanship in your woodworking, you know, attempting to do this or attempting to find a piece that you can do it with just makes the product, the woodcraft, that much more, I guess, powerful in its in the quality of its craftsmanship. So we have some boards set aside for juice pans. These were boards, these were all pieces that I'd begun to make, and I will probably still use these. You can kind of see the handle sketched out in here, some lines in here, and you can see it on there. These will be the main upper beams handles that the deck and the scratter box will be screwed to. I will be taking a lot of this out of some of that wood back there. What you doing, Shadow? These two pieces here, and I forget, I made them a little bit smaller. These were 2.5. I like them a little bit bulkier, and these are white oak, and I'm going to be using this tree that I milled up. Those of you who are for my other channel will have enjoyed the milling of it, but this one is not too bad. But you can see this one kind of warped a bit. You can really kind of see the warping in it. And these two were going to be the front legs, and you can really see the end down there. Let me flip it over here. So we're not going to use these, but we'll need to make some front legs. I'll show you that material here in a minute. And we got, some press legs. So we need some big, beefy, bulky press legs. We'll need a couple of cross beams, and I don't know if you can see the warpage that has taken place in there. I mean, look at the gap. It's closed here, opens, and it closes down there. These have warped pretty significantly. So like I said, we're going to remake them, but you can see. So one will be for the upper part of the beam, One will be for the lower part of the beam where the juice pan sits. So then we would have the front legs and a lower front cross support for the juice pan to rest on. Now, let's take a look at that real quick. Over here on my lumber rack sits all the boards that we're going to use for these legs. Now, it's a little dark under here. Yeah, we can see it now. But you can see I've got some 3x3s that I have cut for the legs, the upper brace, lower brace, and such. And then this is what will be the front legs, and they will be, instead of that thinner wood, this will be a full 6/4 by 4 or 3.5 ish, so near a 2x4 size. So these guys right here are going to be the legs instead of those others, since those warped. I also have in here this piece right here. I don't know, I guess you can see the warpage that's in it as well. And this will be used in pieces down here for the, I want to call it the stomper, the apple stomper, the piece that you have in your hand that keeps you from getting your fingers chewed up by sticking them down in there in apples. It's the thing that makes it safe. I also have a couple more here that could be used. But, for those of you who saw me mill up that log, this is the stuff that we've got. Still a little early to be necessarily working them too much because they still need to be dried. And then the final piece is this piece. And so all of that, get you to see it, all of that in that stack right there, that's dry enough to work on. These are dry enough to work on, so I can start working on the juice pan. The legs that I just showed you back there, not really there yet. And then there's this piece right here, which is going to be turned in the lathe to make the scratter barrel or the grinder barrel. Now this is one that I made out of a piece of pine up in Montana. And you can see that it has extraordinarily tight grain, very dense tight grain, which makes it very stable. And I managed to get 3 3/4 out of this, but I really want to try and get something closer to 4 inches. So when I milled that log, I milled this one to be about 4.5 square, and I think I can get probably four of the scratter barrels out of it. So I've got the material here to do it. I got plenty of 3/4 or 1x here, and I got some scrap pieces here that we'll be using to make the scratter box, to make the upper deck, and to make these rails. But structurally speaking, the majority of it's going to be 2 front legs for the pressing part of it, because we're going to have a lot of stress on it. A couple lower beams, or a lower beam and an upper beam, a cross brace to the 2 front legs, and the 2 handles. That is the majority of it, and of course you have your scratter barrel. That's the wood aspect of it. But now let's take a look at the other parts and pieces that we're going to need for this project. Let's see, where do we start here? Hardware. Let's talk about the hardware. Everything that I'm going to do here is going to be stainless steel, with the exception of these big lag bolts. Now these big lag bolts are going to be used to screw through the legs into the braces. Now they will also be mortised into a shoulder set of the mortise for the structural strength of it. You'll see that when we get to it. So I need 4 of those on each one, and the others will just require standard screws. but everything around the apple press scratter box is going to be stainless. So considering that we're going to be using oak instead of pine, so we're going to have the big oak piece for turning this. I think we can potentially use some smaller grinding screws. So these will get drilled into the grinder barrel with only the heads exposed, and the heads is what will actually chew up the apples for pressing. Then we have a couple of different other sized longer stainless steel screws. We got some 1024 size, or 10, what are these, size number 8x2s, number 8x2s, and then we got these, I think these are number 10 by 2s, and these will be used for the construction of the scratter box, so that you don't have issues with rusting of the rusting of the screws, rusting of the hardware and such. Then, and I got some other sizes here too. Then we have these little button heads, and these are going to be used in two different ways. On the inside of the scratter box, along the wall where the apples will be ground up against, you need some little nubs there to hold the apple in order to keep the apple from just sliding through. So these will be used for that. They will also be used to screw the band in. Now I don't have it shown here out here on the table. I don't have it, but I have a whole bunch of this banding strap, and this is the stuff that they use to strap together bundles of lumber when they're being sent out to a construction project. Same stuff, very strong, very good use and reuse. So we're going to be recycling a bunch of that to use on these on the barrels, the press barrels. So these stainless steel screws will be used to hold the slats in the press barrel, and I've got a bunch of those available. So there's our screws for the wood screws, and then we need the last thing we need here is some stainless steel 5/16 that are 2-inch. These are going to be used to bolt our flange bearings to the side of the scratter box. So we got two bearings per each scratter box. Like I said, we're doing 3 of them here. So I've got a bunch of screws here. So what is that? 2 times 6 is, there should be a dozen or so of them. Those are stainless as well. Okay. So let's look at the. So we got some stainless steel rod, several different sizes, and I originally had put away these 3 for the apple press that I was going to work on, and like I said, we're going to redo those. But this is what we have. We have a 3/4 inch piece that will be the handle that will get welded on the top of our press screws. We have a 5/8 piece that will be the axle with our wheels. Now I have enough wheels for 2 of them. I'm not going to buy wheels for the 3rd one yet because it's not sold yet, or doesn't have a home yet. And then we've got the 5/8 rod that will go through. It will end up going through the grinder barrel for the scratter box. So we got those 3 that are needed. One for the axle of the wheel, one for the handle, and one for the scratter box. On the outside of the scratter box, you're going to have a drive wheel, and this was the original. These are the new ones that I've ordered. These are steel, and this is aluminum. So the ones I get that go on, that will be for sale, are going to be using these steel ones. And I originally had bought this motor, and this is a Marathon. It's a 1 horsepower. It says it's a 3-speed, but generally the 1 speed that we wired up for is sufficient, which is the high end. This one happens to have a long face mount
armature shaft on it, and that is what I would have preferred to have gotten. I would have liked to have gotten some more of those, but I cannot find them. Considering what's happened in the last few years, it was 2017 when I bought that, and they're no longer, I can't seem to find them anyway. But what I did find was these. So these are the motors that will go on the new one. This is a 1 horsepower. It's a slightly different RPM. This one has the capacitor wired into it. This one I have to wire the capacitor to it. A little bit different. This one is the one that will go to the ones that are being sold. And there's another motor here. So here's one motor, here's the other. We've got 2 of the large drive. Another hen telling us how she did things. So we got, we got 3 drive pulleys, and then 3 pulleys for the scratter boxes. Let's see, what else have we got? All right, so we've gone through that. We've gone through this. We got the press shaft. So this is a 1 1/8 by 5 thread Acme thread, and this is the one I had bought when I originally got all my parts, including the motor and this stuff from mine. And you can see it's been sitting around, so it's rusted a little bit. That will be mine. It's okay. For the new ones, we got some brand new nuts, and these nuts will be for welding on to the cross beam. So this steel plate will be cut to square up and go around the upper brace. So in the upper brace, we'll have it literally wrapped with this flat steel, and the nuts will get welded on it, and then the shaft will go straight through, as you've seen in the pictures. And then I've got a couple of these. These are the I bought some 1 1/8 nuts that are just standard machine screws that will be welded to the press plate that pushes and squishes down the apple pulp. And where are you? I think I put you... Oh, here it is, back here. So back here is this piece, which is, I think is a 6/4 piece of oak. And it's very clear grain. We'll be cutting out of that a 12-inch diameter, basically big round disc. And on the top of that will be one of these nuts welded to a piece of the plate and screwed down onto it to receive the pressing shaft that will go through it, as you see in the picture. So let's see. I think I'm near done on this. What we don't see here, and I think that's pretty much all the materials. What we don't see here are some like electrical boxes. I don't know if I want to use those. I have used the little in-wall one, and they're not the prettiest. They're plastic, so I probably will get a metal one. When we build the apple press up, we need to have an extension cord that will run back over to wherever you want to plug it in, so that you can be working like out on your patio or working out on your driveway or something where you got room to run a hose and work around the press. So there will be essentially a power cord hooked up to it. I have yet to get the power cord material, but we want some good heavy duty kind of cord, so that it can handle being walked on and stepped on and stuff. And then we're definitely going to put a switch on it, like out of one of those boxes. Because here's the thing: if there's an issue, and sometimes it happens where an apple will want to bind up the grinder barrel, and you'll need to shut it off in a hurry. You don't want to have to run way over yonder there to unplug something when you're here working on this. You kind of want have your on-off switch right there, just in case there's an issue that requires it. So let's see, electrical plug, switch, which aren't here on the table, all the lumber that we'll go through, and the different parts. We've got so much to do, lots of little things to make and build. And I think this pretty much covers all the materials here. I think everything's here, except for what's out there on the rack. So there you go. This is just the first step, is going through and making sure that I've got everything I need to get going. And since the hens are very proud, of their eggs, my first step is going to be pulling out all those legs and start to plane them down and get them into shape, and then prepare them. I think we'll start with that because it's one of the quickest and easiest things I can get into. We'll save that for the next step. But for this, it's all about the parts. I hope you have enough parts to do what you want to do. And but don't forget to hit the smash the like button, hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. I promise you this, we're going to have a lot of projects to do here at Heritage Homestead Creations, because for us, it is about the journey of the creation. We could get through and pump out a product for you guys. We really could make it real quick and simple. Here it is, we made it. But valuing the things that we build requires some understanding of the love, the care, and the journey that went through to get that made and brought to you. And we've lost that by having all our stuff made in cheap plastic and in a different country. And well, here at Homestead Creations, we want to bring back those things to you that you can hand down for generation to generation, and it becomes a heritage in your family for those who have these products with them. Y'all take care, and we'll be back in the next episode. Stay tuned.